Beneath the frozen shroud of Alaska's Arctic, where mysteries lie entombed for centuries, a chilling secret is about to surface. Flight MH207, lost without a trace on Christmas Eve, 1976, with 150 souls aboard, resurfaces when satellites detect a strange metallic object buried deep in the ice. But as researchers dig in, the scene turns eerie. Bizarre patterns etched in the frost, mysterious tracks no human could have left, and watchful eyes peering from the icy void. What happened to this doomed flight? The truth locked inside isn't just a crash, it's a mind-bending enigma that defies everything we know. Before continuing the story, tell me which city you're watching from. I want to know how far this video has come. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, so I can send you exciting stories like this every day. Thank you. Nathan Sterling lingered by the window of his Anchorage office, gazing out as snowflakes floated gently past the pane. At 58, he devoted over 30 years to unraveling the secrets of Alaska's unforgiving wilds. Yet nothing in his long career had braced him for the satellite photos now scattered across his desk. The metallic oddity, first picked up by military satellites in January 2016, had seemed at first like a standard case to probe. But as he scrutinized the initial scans more closely, a shiver coursed through him, unrelated to the biting winter chill. "Dr. Sterling?" Emily Zhang, his research assistant, stepped into the doorway. Her usual calm poise was tinged with a spark of eagerness. "The thermal imaging data just arrived. You've got to take a look." Together they sifted through the fresh findings. The shape was undeniable now, a clear silhouette of an aircraft's tail fin, entombed deep in the ice at a sharp 40-degree tilt. Nathan's hands shook faintly as he aligned the measurements with known plane designs. "It fits," Emily murmured. "Flight MH207. The words settled heavily between them. Every Alaskan scientist knew of Flight MH207, the passenger jet that had disappeared without a whisper on Christmas Eve, 1976. 150 lives swallowed by the wild, their story lingering as one of aviation's enduring enigmas for 40 years. "Get Thompson at the National Science Foundation on the line," Nathan instructed, his tone firm despite the weight of the discovery, "and reach out to Dr. Charlotte Vega at Wildlife Services. We'll need her know-how." Within days, what began as a routine anomaly check swelled into one of Alaska's most massive recovery efforts. The National Science Foundation rushed their funding through, and the U.S. Air Force pitched in with operational backup. Still, as the plan took shape, Nathan couldn't shake the sense that they were on the cusp of revealing something far deeper than a mere wreck. Charlotte Vega stepped into the Anchorage briefing room on a frigid January morning, her silver-flecked hair tied back in a no-nonsense braid. At 62, she stood among the globe's top minds on Alaskan wildlife, with a keen eye for big predators. The room buzzed with experts, glaciologists, aviation analysts, forensic historians, and survival pros. "The location's about 180 miles northeast of Anchorage," Nathan said, gesturing to a detailed map. "We're facing average temps of -42 Celsius and winds hitting 18 meters per second. This'll be a tough one." Charlotte peered at the satellite shots with keen curiosity. "The ice field's layout is peculiar," she observed. "These lines," she ran her finger along a cluster of uneven streaks, "they don't match standard glacial flow." "What's on your mind?" Nathan pressed. "Not certain yet," Charlotte mused, "but in my years out here, when nature strays from the norm, there's usually a cause." The team dedicated the following week to gearing up for the mission. They gathered 84 tons of advanced gear, thermal drilling rigs, ground-penetrating radar, portable labs, and provisions to support a 30-person crew for 2 months. Among them was David Whitmore, a veteran ice pilot with 25 years of Alaskan search and rescue flights under his belt. "I remember when 207 vanished," David remarked during a strategy meeting. "I was young, but my father flew in the first search cruise. He never forgave himself for not finding them. Said that Christmas storm was the fiercest he'd ever faced." In early February, the convoy rolled out, a line of rugged vehicles inching across the icy expanse. Charlotte rode up front with Nathan, her gaze sweeping the horizon. Something about the landscape tugged at her instincts, the way snow swirled, the odd shapes in the ice. "Hold up," she called abruptly, prompting Nathan to halt the caravan. She gestured toward an unremarkable snow patch. "Notice how the surface shifts there? Animals are steering clear for a reason." A closer look uncovered a hidden ice chasm that could have engulfed a vehicle. Charlotte's sharp eye likely spared lives and gear, but it sparked curiosity. How had she caught it so fast? "Decades watching predators," she said with a faint grin. "They leave signs if you know where to look." Within 18 hours, the team set up base camp, a cluster of sturdy tents and modular units built to endure the Arctic's wrath. The crash site sat less than a kilometer off, marked by the faint jut of a tail fin piercing the ice. It was during the first sweep that they spotted the bobcat. Its presence was odd. Bobcats weren't unheard of in Alaska, but they favored wooded areas over open ice fields. This one, a hefty female with 2 near-adult cubs, moved with ease across the barren stretch. "Incredible," Charlotte whispered, peering through binoculars. "They're thriving out here. Check the size of those paws, way bigger than your average bobcats." The cats kept a steady distance from camp, neither closing in nor bolting. Even more curious was their behavior near the wreckage. The mother paced specific zones with care, her cubs trailing her steps exactly. "They're dodging the ice's weak point," Charlotte noted, "but this is more than typical predator smarts. It's almost like..." She didn't finish, but she didn't have to. The team had all seen how the bobcat's paths seemed to chart safe routes through the deadly ground. The recovery itself was grueling. Engineers wielded thermal tools with pinpoint accuracy, wary of upsetting the ice's fragile balance. Every move was deliberate, every action precise. The bobcats became steady watchers, so routine that the crew dubbed them the guides. When they finally cracked into the fuselage, the sight inside froze them all. The cabin was a flawless relic, a chilling snapshot of that Christmas Eve in 1976. Magazines sat open on tray tables, pages locked mid-flip. A service cart rested in the aisle, coffee mugs atop it, now solid ice cylinders. But it was the personal belongings that hit hardest. A doll with neatly braided yarn hair, a wallet stuffed with family snapshots, unsent letters. Each piece whispered a tale, each item a life cut short. In the cockpit, they unearthed the captain's log, its last note a clipped account of engine failures and worsening weather. More telling was a flight attendant's journal, tucked in a storage nook. Spanning 18 days post-crash, its entries sketched a story of grit and grim truth. December 25th, 1976. Dawn. If you can call this dimness dawn. 22 of 150 left. The crash was brutal, but the cold's the real thief. So many slipped away that first night. We've huddled in first class. It's sturdier, holds heat better. Captain Williams rallying us, stretching the emergency rations. Lucia, the other attendant still standing, keeps trying to ease people's pain. How do you soothe folks who lost it all on Christmas? December 27, 1976. Radio's dead, no hint of help. Captain William figures we're 100 miles off our last known spot. That storm, it was a monster, scrambled every gauge. We hear animals out there sometimes. Odd noises. Not wolves. Something different. December 30th, 1976. Down to 19. The cold's relentless. Lucia spotted something strange today, tracks circling the plane, but they're keeping other hunters at bay. Captain William thinks we landed in big cat turf. Weirdly, that's a comfort. January 5th, 1977. Just 12 of us remain. The emergency supplies are gone. Lucia didn't stir this morning. Oddly, we've started finding fresh kills near the wreckage. Rabbits, little critters, like something's dropping them off for us. Captain William calls it nonsense, but we're beyond dismissing the unbelievable now. The journal entries pressed on, growing hazy with dates but sharp with detail. The last one was marked January 11th, 1977. I'm all that's left. Everyone else slipped away. Yet I'm not truly alone. They're out there. I see their eyes glowing in the dark. Not menacing, observing, waiting. I get it now. Why they linger. They're the keepers of this place. They know survival here, no loss here. The mother cat left another rabbit today. I couldn't grab it, too frail to budge. I think she knew. She stayed in the snow for hours just gazing. I'm not scared anymore. When it's over, I won't be by myself. Charlotte pored over the journal for days, cross-referencing it with known bobcat traits. These cats, she told Nathan one night, they're showing behaviors that stretch past typical territorial instincts. The diary talks about them delivering food to the wreck. We're seeing echoes of that today. She slid over photos of small animal remains scattered at regular spots near the dig site. We thought they were just leftovers at first, but check the positioning. They're always in plain sight, always around our lunch breaks. The team's wildlife camera crew caught jaw-dropping clips of the bobcats in action. The mother often popped up near the work zone just before nasty weather rolled in, her stance and pacing restless until the crew sought cover. Her cubs mimicked her, picking up habits that seemed handed down through the years. Are you saying these are offspring of the cats from the diary? Nathan asked, doubtful yet hooked. Bobcats usually last 10 to 12 years wild, Charlotte answered. We're talking 4 or 5 generations. But yeah, I think these are their kin, inheriting not just the land, but the habits. As the dig deepened, clues backing the journal surfaced. The spread of supplies and bodies hinted at structured survival attempts. Small stashes of food turned up around the site, some still holding bits of preserved game. The real shocker hit 6 weeks in. While studying ice core samples, Emily Chan spotted something odd in the strata. These lines, she said, showing Nathan and Charlotte, they're not chance. See the repetition? It's like something's been tracing the same trails around the wreck, year after year, carving tracks into the ice. Deeper scans uncovered decades of layered paw prints, generations of bobcats treading their forebears' paths. The routes lined up exactly with the safe lanes the current cats used across the ice field. They've been holding watch, Charlotte concluded. For 40 years, they've guarded this ground. The recovery wrapped up in late March. The remains and belongings of Flight MH207's passengers and crew, locked in ice for 4 decades, were at last returned to their loved ones. The journal, now a key relic of aviation lore, found a home at the Smithsonian, but the bobcat's tale grabbed the public's heart like wildfire. Wildlife specials aired, studies rolled out, and the site turned into a magnet for researchers probing animal smarts and instincts. Charlotte Vega poured her later years into the mystery. She set up a field outpost near the crash site, tracking the bobcat's ongoing presence and ways. The mother and cubs stayed on, even after the dig gear cleared out, sticking to their ancestral routines. 5 years after the find, Charlotte sat in her modest research outpost, observing the latest batch of cubs mastering the trails their forebears had trodden. The mother bobcat, her muzzle now tinged with gray, still patrolled daily, still left small tributes at the memorial raised on the site. Nathan Sterling, now mostly retired, had joined her to mark the recovery's anniversary. Together they watched the sun dip, splashing the ice with hues of rose and amber. You know what I believe, Charlotte murmured. That first mother bobcat saw something in those survivors, not just as prey or rivals, but as beings fighting to endure in a brutal land. And somehow she handed that awareness down through her line. Nathan nodded. A legacy of kindness. More than that, Charlotte countered, a sign that even in our bleakest times we're not forsaken. Those passengers spent their final days gazing at these incredible animals, finding solace in their nearness. For 40 years, these cats have held their post, safeguarding the site, tracing safe routes, leaving their gifts. Right on cue, the mother bobcat emerged at the edge of their site, her cubs romping behind her in the snow. She stopped, locking eyes with Charlotte in that same enigmatic stare that had gripped researchers for years. Some might say we're humanizing them, Nathan mused, projecting our traits onto their actions. Or perhaps, Charlotte offered, we're starting to see that compassion isn't ours alone, that in this stark, stunning wild, all life is tied by something beyond what science can pin down. The bobcat guided her cubs along an age-old path, their paws fitting into tracks etched by countless kin before. As they faded into the deepening twilight, their shapes briefly outlined against the Arctic sky, Charlotte recalled the flight attendant's last words, "I'm not afraid anymore. When it's over, I won't be alone. In the years since, the tale of Flight MH207 and its feline watchers grew beyond a mere account of loss and endurance. It became a tribute to the strange threads linking all creatures, a nudge that even in the bleakest corners, kindness can take hold and thrive across time. The bobcats endured, adjusting to a shifting climate, schooling each new litter in their ancestral ways. On still nights when the northern lights shimmered overhead, they could still be seen pacing their rounds. Timeless sentinels of a spot where the lines between human and beast, sorrow and hope, had softened into something remarkable. Researchers kept probing the site and its rare residents, though some riddles stayed unsolved. Maybe that's how it should be. A hint that Alaska's vast wild still cradles tales that elude our grasp, connections that defy our labels, and flashes of grace that ripple through eras for humans and animals alike. A modest plaque now marks the crash site, honoring not just the passengers and crew of Flight MH207, but the extraordinary beings who've tended it for nearly 5 decades. It carries a plain epitaph, in memory of the 150 lives aboard Flight MH207, December 24, 1976, and in tribute to their surprising protectors who showed us that compassion has no limits and that even in our hardest moments, we're never truly alone. The bobcats still wander their old routes, their presence a breathing monument to a time when the boundary between human and animal blurred, and something deep and unexplained took root in the frost and snow. Their saga keeps stirring scientists, wildlife buffs, and travelers worldwide. A cue that in Alaska's rugged splendor, some ties outlast time, species, and even mortality. In her last paper before stepping back, Charlotte Vega wrote, "Through the bobcats of Flight MH207, we've glimpsed something vital about compassion and remembrance. These animals prove that the impulse to care and protect isn't bound by species or years. They nudge us in our fractured world that simply seeing and easing another's pain, no matter their shape, might be the truest mark of life's deep weave. The mother bobcat and her cubs persist, their daily rhythms a living echo of that truth. In their steady gaze, onlookers still catch flickers of something old and knowing, a heritage of care handed down through the ages that keeps stirring and reshaping all who meet it. The saga of Flight MH207 and its bobcat guardians in the icy depths of Alaska has come to an end, but its echoes will linger in our hearts forever. From a 40-year aviation mystery, we've uncovered not just the fate of 150 passengers, but a breathtaking bond between humanity and nature that defies all expectations. These bobcats, passing down compassion through generations, have shown us that even in the Arctic's deadly chill, life and kindness can still take root and thrive. Did this journey move you? Let us know what you think in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you. If you're hooked on mysterious tales, world-changing discoveries, or the stunning moments of the natural world, hit that subscribe button on our YouTube channel right now. Turn on notifications so you never miss a video, because every story we share opens a window to the extraordinary. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.